Hello again, everybody. Harry Box for the Technical Trader at techtrader.com. It's Thursday night, the 16th of February. These are the charts of the day. Well, a market tested this morning, tested severely. Still held up. At the end of the day, they rallied them back, but I'm not convinced yet. We'll see. Still, a lot of the stocks that we look at and are trading did very well. Here's one that we haven't traded in a while. It was a real big runner for us back in the fall when it went from literally 2.25 or a half area all the way up to 9.5. Some of you remember that last big spike up with volume. After a three-wave corrective pullback and a bounce, it then did a right-handed extended V and popped right to resistance. Today was an inside day. I like those inside days, especially after a run up to resistance. Watch this tomorrow carefully. Over 640, I think it runs to 7 3/4 and then 9 1/4 with 14 days to cover. This could be interesting. I'm going to be watching this carefully tomorrow. I like it. EBX. Well, out of all the gold stocks, this one really had a good report today and ripped for $1.18 or 6%. Traded only 35 million shares. pretty impressive. And a breakout across key resistance zone. At this point, my target would have to be somewhere about 23, 23.5. Right about there. So, and we'll see what comes on with it next. ANET, nothing to look at right now, but check out after hours. Big report. The stock exploded from 100 to 111 3/4 and pulled back to 109, but it's trading up about $9 after hours. So, excuse me. So this one looks intriguing because on the daily chart, it's now up in that zone there and may very well extend to the top of the channel near 113.15 as early as tomorrow morning. We'll keep an eye on this one for a day trade potentially. AQMS, after stalling for 3 days, right in that range. Ran today and closed near the upper end of the range for a new high at 1811 of 117. That's almost 7% and 470,000 traded. Now, it looks to me if it gets through here, it can just go vertical. 21, 23, 24, something like that, the targets. And with 14.6 days to cover, I think the shorts are going to get squeezed. It's going to be one of these kind of run-ups here or there. Low price BCRX broke out of the falling 5-wave corrective, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave corrective pullback that held trend line and lateral price support. Today it gapped up and through, and even though it did back up a little bit, I think the stock is going to make a run at 7 1/4 and then maybe 8 or 9 with almost 8.9 days to cover. This one has, I think, some energy to make it up to at least that 9, 9.5 range eventually. CGNX with nothing big today, but after hours, take a look. Closing at 70.45, it's trading at 74.44. It's up $4 on a strong earnings report. And what that does for the daily chart is it gaps it up not that far from the top of the channel. I'll be looking tomorrow to see if this can make it up there. That's going to be my target, about 76.5. So we're going to watch that one carefully. There's 6.7 days to cover on that one. Cohu's another. Although nothing spectacular on the daily chart, it does have a long base pattern. Well, tonight it broke out with a breakaway gap. Now there's a double top, triple top up in this area near 1735, something like that. And this afternoon, or after hours, it popped about $1.30 on earnings report. You can see the pop, and then we'll be watching this one tomorrow morning also for potential day trade. Now, there is 3 days to cover on this one. And once again, look at the daily chart, shows you that it's coming out of a big base. Here's a weekly, long, multi-year base. So we could see a lot more than just that. Down the road, it wouldn't shock me if this stock eventually made a run up into at least the, let's call it 23, 24 zone. So near-term targets could be around just under 18, maybe even tomorrow. And you can see how that can go beyond that. Another one of those after-hour poppers is CYTK. Doesn't look like much here, does it? Oh, big drop. A lot of lines in here. Let me delete that for you. But you can see that the overall structure shows a big up. Excuse me, a big uptrend potentially in play. Excuse me, got a frog in my throat. And on a daily chart, this evening, it popped up near 1210 from 1130. With the target here, 1275.80 tomorrow. This could be a day trade, so we'll watch that one. Keep that on your radar. There's 10.3 days to cover and it had a good earnings report. That could be gapping up across everything to set us up for a move towards 18 and then 21. EDIT had a beautiful morning. By mid-afternoon, it had run to almost 27. Pretty hard hit. 3-point drop back, almost. I think it's a buying opportunity. I really do. I think this was the quick reaction from about 18.75 all the way up to 27 in just, what, a day and a half? So it's not normal to get a pullback. Wasn't happy about it, but keep an eye on a zone down about 23, 3.5. That would be a potential entry opportunity, I think. What a nice follow through on ESPR. Look at the way the stock's been reacting here. Phenomenal move. Since we put the swing on, this is up nearly 10 points. And I mean in a week and a half. Fabulous move. 11 days to cover short, and earnings haven't even come out on the 23rd. This should be interesting. EXAS broke through yesterday. A little bit of a follow through today. There's resistance up here about the 2040 range. Today's high being 2046. And a little bit of a back off from there. You can see why. But if it does punch through, I would look for something around 22, 2.5. And then we're all the way up in the 30-30 with the 2 zone. Eventually, if it breaks out across that key resistance. HIMX, look at that surge. A huge volume. The stock's been up 5 days in a row. It is at resistance. I would look for a pullback consolidation, but that could be a setup now that the declining channel has been broken and moving averages appear to be curling up. Can we get a little pullback consolidation and a crossover in the moving averages? That would be great. The next target for an intermediate, my swing trade move could be upwards of 8 and maybe even as high as 9, 9.25 across there. Nearly 4 days to cover in that one. What a nice chart on INVE. I haven't really seen this too much, but I did remember drawing that wedge in there. And unfortunately, I didn't see the breakout because when it went from 3 3/4, it non-stop to 589 today. Now, it may need some resting and consolidation, but it's got a tremendous chart. And I would not be surprised to see 7 and 8.5 coming up on the stock. More than 5 days to cover on that. And how about Arcade? What a nice pop and run today. 289 or 14.7% on almost 18 million shares. The stock went on its way, well on its way. You're getting up near 26.7. Perhaps on a takeout, maybe more. And Kathy's KRO, a nice pop through resistance today. Let's go back a little bit. You can see the resistance along that line. And now we have resistance up towards, I think, more like 17 is my target short term. 9.42 days to cover. PGNX made the S&P 600 today. You can see it pop and close at the upper end of the range, at the actual top of the range. There's resistance at 11, 11.15. If we get through that, we're looking at something around 18, 19 over the next several weeks with 10.55 days to cover. How about Raven today? It was a nice pop out of the flag or the wedge and ran up 225 or 9%, more than 500,000 traded, which is for that good volume. That's volume in 2 weeks. Looks like we can follow through, and my targets would be 30 and then 35 going forward. Terrific chart on STM. Look at this pattern. Really strong rising angle. You don't see that too often, but it isn't quitting. I wouldn't advocate being an aggressive buyer up here, but momentum is strong. It may see 17, 18, 19 or more, but at any point this could pull back. The looks like earnings coming out tomorrow. Got to be careful on that one. Coal stock SXC. That's actually a regulated gas utility. Thought it was coal, but my bad. Broke out of a wedge and should, I think that's the spike high, about 365 going forward. And then I'm looking for 5, up around maybe 490. TMST steel stock, after hours, popped to 19.25, up $1.50. On the daily chart, you can see that it's been in a beautiful uptrend, broke the recent declining channel there, worked its way slowly higher, and now, with this high being 1863, the stock being up to, see as high as 19.25 after hours, and closing there. This may very well gap and run tomorrow. 8.73 days to cover, very interesting indeed. Good earnings though after hours. Same with True. You can see the true pop smartly from 13.25 up to 15.10. Closed right up there at the high for the afternoon, after hours trade. With 30 days to cover on this one, you can see why it's doing that. The shorts are definitely squeezed on that one. The daily chart shows this. It was a rising pattern with a little bit double top there. Today it's popping through, and it very well might extend. This is the angle of ascent from, in my way of thinking. And you can see where it is right now near resistance after hours. Pops through there, 17 is the number. Huge short position. Yandex, major breakout. Take a look. You go back all the way back to 2014. You'll see that this is broken out to a 3-year high. The next target, 29. And very strong session today. And it closed at the upper end of the range on 6 million shares. That's a clean breakout with volume. Lastly, ZSAN. Look, there's no holding this one back in terms of, but there's no doubting the pattern and the technicals and how strong the gap and breakaway move is with heavy, heavy volume. Trading 35 million shares a day. Incredible. There is a key resistance level right there, and then the gap. But that comes in around 450, excuse me, it is 450. So even though it's 307, we may see a little bit more up towards the 4.5 range, but this is a little bit long in the tooth, or a little, should I say, having some very, very strong surge. It may need to back and fill in here. Don't be surprised if it does make it up higher, even as high at some point as the 7 range, maybe even 9. These are potential targets down the road. For now, I would look to see what it does with the gap at 4.5. That's it for tonight, everybody. You guys have a good evening. Bye now.